The roar of the flames drowned out Cato's desperate cry. "Innocent!" he managed to exclaim before the smoke filled his lungs. The fierce and ruthless fire began to lick his bare feet, the unbearable heat climbing up his legs like fiery snakes. The central square of Buganda had become a hell on earth. Hundreds of faces, twisted with anger and fear, formed a turbulent sea around the execution pyre. The air was thick with hatred, and the acrid smell of smoke was a toxic mix threatening to suffocate any sense of reason. Suddenly, a piercing scream cut through the air, louder than the crackling flames and the crowd's vengeful shouts. "Stop!" The voice, filled with anguish and fury, belonged to Nyota, Cato's wife. Like an unleashed force of nature, Nyota pushed through the crowd. Her eyes, shining with tears and determination, were fixed on her dying husband. With a leap that seemed to defy gravity itself, she broke through the guard's barrier and threw herself towards the pyre. "He is innocent!" she shouted over and over, her bare hands striking the flames in a desperate attempt to extinguish them. Her hair, usually braided with colorful beads, now loose and wild, singed in the infernal heat. The guards, momentarily paralyzed by Nyota's boldness, finally reacted. Two burly men grabbed her by the arms, dragging her away from the fire. Nyota fought with the strength of a lioness, her screams mingling with Cato's in a duet of agony. On his ebony throne, King Ose stood, his imposing figure casting a long shadow over the square. With a gesture of his hand, he ordered the execution to stop. Silence fell over the crowd like a heavy cloak, broken only by Nyota's choked sobs and the crackling flames. "Speak, woman," boomed the king's voice, resonating in every corner of the square. "What makes you risk your life for a man condemned for treason?" Nyota, still struggling against the guard's grip, raised her gaze to the king. Her eyes, burning with an intensity that rivaled the pyre's flames, locked onto the monarch's. "My king," she began, her voice trembling but gaining strength with each word. "What your eyes see is a lie. What your ears hear is deceit. Cato, my husband, the father of my child, is innocent of the crimes he is accused of. Give me 3 days, just 3 days, and I will bring you the truth that will save not only Cato, but all of Buganda." A murmur ran through the crowd like wind rustling the baobab leaves before a storm. King Ose, intrigued by Nyota's audacity and conviction, considered her words in silence, his gaze alternating between the defiant woman and the half-burned man on the pyre. Cato, with the little strength he had left, raised his head. His eyes, clouded with pain, met his wife's. In that brief moment, a world of love, trust, and despair passed between them. Finally, with a gesture that seemed to make the earth tremble, the king spoke. 3 days I grant you, Nyota of Buganda, 3 days to prove your husband's innocence or share his fate in the flames. May the spirits of our ancestors guide your quest, for the future of our kingdom hangs by a thread as thin as your promise." The guards, obeying the king's silent order, began to untie Cato from the pyre. The man fell to the ground, his body smoking and trembling. Nyota ran to him, carefully embracing him, her tears mingling with the soot on her husband's face. "I will save you," Nyota whispered in Cato's ear. "I will find the truth, even if I have to defy the gods themselves." As the crowd dispersed, murmuring theories and speculations, Nyota helped Cato to his feet. Their son, Jabari, a 12-year-old boy with sharp eyes and agile movements, came running. "Mother, father," Jabari said, his voice trembling but determined, "what can we do?" Nyota looked at her family, the core of her world now threatened by forces she barely understood. "We have to move quickly," she said. "Jabari, we will need your eyes and ears. Cato, you must recover. I will find the truth at any cost." That night, in their humble hut on the outskirts of the village, the family gathered around the fire. Cato, his wounds treated with herbal ointments, lay on a mat, his breathing still labored. "The problems began with Malik's arrival," Nyota said, her voice barely a whisper. "That foreign merchant with his promises of wealth and mysterious cargoes. There was always something about him I didn't like." Jabari, sitting cross-legged, nodded vigorously. I've seen him talking to the elders, Mother, always in secret, always with that smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Cato tried to sit up, but the pain forced him to lie back down. Nyota, my love, be careful. Malik has powerful allies. If he is behind this, he won't stop at anything. Nyota took her husband's hand, feeling the rough, burnt skin under her fingers. I have no choice, Cato. Your life, our future, all of Buganda is at stake. I must uncover the truth. With the first light of dawn, Nyota and Jabari ventured into the village. The air was thick with tension. The villagers divided between those who believed in Cato's guilt and those who doubted it. Nyota could feel eyes on her, some sympathetic, others accusatory. Their first stop was the market, the pulsing heart of Buganda. Here, among stalls of exotic fruits and colorful fabrics, rumors flowed as freely as the river's water. Psst, Nyota, called a voice. It was Adama, an old herb seller known for her wisdom. Come here, girl, I have something to tell you. Nyota approached Adama's stall, the scent of medicinal herbs filling her senses. The old woman leaned forward, her eyes shining with ancient knowledge. The troubles began with the new moon, Adama whispered. The same day Malik brought that mysterious cargo. Since then, our waters taste bitter, and sickness spreads like fire in the dry savannah. Nyota felt her heart race. What else do you know, Adama? Have you seen anything suspicious? The old woman looked around cautiously before responding. Malik meets with his men in the cave east of the village. They go at night when they think no one is watching. But the spirits of our ancestors see everything, Nyota. And now I tell you. Thanking Adama, Nyota moved away from the stall, her mind racing. She needed evidence, something concrete to present to King Osei. Meanwhile, Jabari had been busy. The boy had a knack for going unnoticed, and his ears had picked up troubling bits of conversation. Mother, Jabari said, meeting Nyota in a quiet corner of the market. I heard two of Malik's men. They were talking about a shipment arriving tonight. They said something about finishing the job. Nyota felt a chill run down her spine. Time was running out, and the pieces of the puzzle were falling into place in a terrifying way. We need help, Jabari, Nyota said. We can't do this alone. It was then that she remembered Otieno, the wise elder who lived on the village's outskirts. Otieno was known for his knowledge of ancient traditions and his ability to read the signs of nature. If anyone could help them unravel this mystery, it was him. Nyota and Jabari headed towards Otieno's hut, located in a clearing surrounded by ancient trees. The old man was waiting for them, as if he had sensed their arrival. The spirits told me you would come, Nyota, Otieno said, his voice deep and serene. Darkness is looming over Buganda, and you are the light that can dispel it. Nyota bowed her head respectfully. Wise Otieno, we need your guidance. Cato is innocent, but to prove it, we must uncover the true source of the evil afflicting our people. Otieno invited them into his hut, the interior illuminated by the dim light of candles, the air filled with the scent of incense. The elder sat before a bowl of clear water and began murmuring ancient words of power. I see darkness and betrayal, Otieno said, his eyes fixed on the water. I see a man with a false smile and a heart of stone. I see poison in our waters and greed in our lands. Jabari, fascinated by the ritual, leaned forward. Is it Malik? Is he the culprit? Otieno nodded slowly. The foreigner brings a curse with him, but he is not alone. He has allies within Buganda, weak souls seduced by promises of power and wealth. Nyota felt her determination grow within her. How can we stop him, Otieno? How can we save Kato and Buganda? The old man stood, his hunched figure radiating an unyielding inner strength. You must be like the leopard, Nyota. Stealthy in the night, fierce in the attack. I will teach you the secrets of our ancestors, the forgotten arts of hunting and stealth. For the next few hours, Otieno instructed Nyota and Jabari in ancient techniques of silent movement, natural camouflage, and keen observation. He taught them to read the signs of the wind, communicate without words, and blend into the shadows. Tonight, Otieno said as the sun began to set. "You must follow Malik to his hideout, but be careful, for greed and evil have sharpened his senses. One mistake could cost you everything." Armed with their new knowledge and renewed determination, Nyota and Jabari prepared for the most dangerous mission of their lives. Kato's fate and all of Buganda depended on their success. As the first stars appeared in the night sky, Nyota and Jabari slipped out of the village, moving as fluidly and silently as the great cats of the savannah. They headed towards the cave Adama had mentioned, their senses on high alert. They didn't have to wait long. Soon they saw Malik and a group of hooded men approaching the cave entrance. Nyota and Jabari hid among the rocks, holding their breath as the group passed just a few feet away. "The shipment has arrived," they heard Malik say, his voice laden with sinister satisfaction. "Tonight we complete our plan. Tomorrow Buganda will kneel before us." Nyota felt her blood run cold. They had to act fast, but how could they confront Malik and his men alone? It was then that Jabari, in a burst of youthful bravery, made a decision that would change the course of events. Seizing a moment of distraction, the boy slipped towards the cave entrance. "Jabari, no!" Nyota whispered. But it was too late. Her son had disappeared into the darkness. With her heart racing, Nyota had no choice but to follow her son. She entered the cave, moving like a shadow among shadows, guided by the faint echoes of Malik and his men's voices. The inside of the cave was a labyrinth of passages and chambers. Nyota proceeded cautiously, her eyes gradually adjusting to the dim light. Finally, she reached a larger chamber, lit by torches. There, hidden behind a rock, she saw Malik and his men gathered around several barrels. With horror, she realized they contained the poison intended to contaminate Buganda's waters. Jabari was there too, hidden in the shadows, his eyes shining with a mix of fear and determination. Nyota held her breath, praying her son wouldn't be discovered. "At dawn," Malik announced, his voice echoing in the cavern, "we will pour the poison into the river. When chaos erupts, we will take control. King Ose will fall, and Buganda will be ours." Nyota knew she had to act. With a silent signal, she caught Jabari's attention. The boy understood immediately. While Nyota prepared to create a distraction, Jabari slipped towards the barrels. "Spirits of Buganda!" Nyota shouted, jumping from her hiding place. Her voice, amplified by the cave walls, sounded like the roar of 1,000 lions. "Curse these traitors!" Chaos ensued. Malik and his men, caught off guard, turned towards Nyota. At that critical moment, Jabari seized the opportunity to topple one of the barrels. The poison spilled, its acrid odor filling the air. "Catch her!" Malik roared, his face contorted with rage. Nyota moved as Otieno had taught her, dodging her pursuers with the grace of a gazelle. Meanwhile, Jabari had reached the cave entrance. "Run, Jabari!" Nyota shouted. "Warn the king!" The boy hesitated for a moment, but his mother's gaze left no room for argument. With tears in his eyes, Jabari ran into the night, sprinting like never before. Nyota found herself surrounded, but she wouldn't give up without a fight. Using the techniques Otieno had taught her, she managed to disarm 2 of Malik's men. But there were too many. Just when it seemed all was lost, a thunderous roar shook the cave. Kato, still weak but with eyes burning with fury, appeared at the entrance. Behind him, a group of loyal villagers led by Otieno charged into the fray. The battle that followed was fierce but brief. Outnumbered and caught off guard, Malik and his men were soon subdued. As the villagers tied up the traitors, Kato ran to Nyota, wrapping her in a desperate embrace. "I thought I had lost you," he whispered, his voice breaking with emotion. Nyota clung to her husband, tears flowing freely down her face. "I never doubted you, my love. Never." Dawn found the village of Buganda in a state of shock and celebration. King Ose, alerted by Jabari, had arrived with his guards to arrest Malik and his accomplices. In the central square, before the entire village, King Ose raised his voice. "People of Buganda, we have witnessed a great betrayal, but also great courage. Kato, whom we unjustly condemned, is cleared of all charges. Nyota, Your bravery and determination have saved our kingdom. From now on, you will be known as the Lioness of Buganda, protector of our people." The crowd erupted in cheers. Cato, Nyota, and Jabari embraced, their hearts overflowing with joy and relief. In the days that followed, Buganda began to heal. The poison was removed from the waters, and health gradually returned to the village. Nyota, honoring her new title, worked tirelessly to strengthen the bonds among the villagers and establish new security measures. Cato, fully recovered, became a respected advisor to the king, his near-death experience having forged in him deep wisdom. Jabari, recognized for his bravery, began training with Otieno, learning the ancient arts of wisdom and stealth. One night, months after the events that nearly destroyed Buganda, Nyota found herself sitting under the great baobab at the village center. Cato joined her, entwining his fingers with hers. "What are you thinking about, my lioness?" Cato asked softly. Nyota smiled, her eyes fixed on the stars shining in the African sky. "I think about how close we came to losing everything and how fortunate we are to be here now." Cato nodded, pulling her closer. "It was your love and courage that saved us all, Nyota. I will never forget it." As the couple contemplated the future, full of promise and possibility, a gentle breeze rustled the baobab leaves, and in that whisper, if one listened carefully, one could hear the voices of the ancestors promising their eternal protection to Buganda and the brave family who had risked everything for truth and justice. But the story of Buganda doesn't end here. New challenges and adventures await Nyota, Cato, and Jabari. What ancient secrets still lie hidden in the depths of the jungle? What new threats lurk in the shadows? To find out, don't miss the next chapter of this exciting saga. Subscribe now to our channel, leave a like if you believe in the power of courage and truth, and share in the comments what you think the future holds for the Lioness of Buganda and her family. The adventure continues, and you can be a part of it.